my swamp!
During the 90s, Disney ruled theatrical animation. Their films were acclaimed by all ages, and no other studio could come close to competing with them. But on October 12, 1994, the DreamWorks Animation Studio was founded. After a couple of features that differed in quality and had some success, DreamWorks released their second CGI animated feature in 2001. This film would go on to be the studio's biggest franchise and set the standard for many of its later movies. But it was also one of the most influential animated films ever released. This series in question was Shrek. This green ogre is one of the biggest cash cows in the animation industry, and his mug was plastered over hundreds of pieces of merchandise, as well as in 4 films released over 9 years. I have some pretty fond memories watching all of these movies, some in theaters and some on DVD over and over again. Today I'll be looking at all 4 Shrek films, not counting spin-offs or holiday specials, to see which ones hold up and which ones are ogre rated. There's going to be spoilers and not much plot recap, so I advise you watch these films first, or just keep that in mind. You guys all wanted to see this, so I guess it's time for me to get Shreked.
Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running.
There's actually a really long and interesting history behind this movie. For example, Nicolas Cage, Chris Farley, and Bill Murray were all candidates to play the title character. I'll spare you most of the details and just advise you go watch the Did You Know Movies episode on the series if you want to know more. But it's important to know that at the time, there was nothing else like Shrek out there. It was a combination of gross-out, adult humor, pop culture references, and a setup and themes created only as a screw you to Disney. Its unique qualities made it such a huge hit, and it's the reason why you see so many animated movies try to copy its formula of 2 unlikely pals going on a road trip with a forced message and a dance party at the end. The charm first seen in Shrek has attempted to be replicated in so many other animated films, some even by Disney, but I'm happy to say that Shrek still holds up, for the most part. One thing that so many movies like Shrek get wrong are the pop culture references. Not much of the film's content can tell you that it was made in the early 2000s. The soundtrack features both classic and contemporary pop tunes, although some of them feel out of place. Like, why is a Smash Mouth song playing when a mob is about to go on a killing spree? The pop culture references aren't common either. When they do show up, they're pretty broad and usually reference Disney, and I picked up on most of them. The only thing that sort of dates this movie is the animation. That's to be expected when CGI animation has come so far in the past 15 years. But other than some plastic-looking textures, fuzzy backgrounds, and some bad-looking humans, Shrek still looks pretty decent, and that's coming from someone who watched the film on Blu-ray for this review. One of my favorite things about this movie is the character animation. Some of the faces don't look that great, but characters like Donkey have a lot of energy, and I love little touches like this cute little dance Pinocchio does during the ending. I've probably seen Shrek more than any other film ever, and I still laugh at it. Sadly, it's not as funny as I remember it being. Some of the humor doesn't always work, like the gross-out gags, which wear off after the second viewing, and the innuendos, which are very on the nose.
Wait, where are you going? The exit's over there.
Well, I have to save my ass.
Get it? Because Shrek is talking about Donkey and his butt. What a subtle and funny joke. The funniest things in this movie are all the spins that are put on the fairy tale characters. The carefree personalities of these characters clash with the more demanding and angry world perfectly, but it's a shame that they didn't have more to do. Another consistent source of humor are the character interactions. This movie has a really strong celebrity voice cast, but the standouts to me were Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy. They bounce off of each other really well, and most of their scenes are a blast to watch, even when they don't have anything funny to say. In my opinion, their interactions pretty much make the movie, and how much you enjoy it will probably depend on how much you like them. Outside of the main characters, none of the voices really stand out that much. Most of the other actors are just members of the film's production crew, and they supply voices for the fairy tale creatures. The voices are kind of basic and annoying, but they don't have much screen time, so I guess I'm just kind of nitpicking at this point. This film's cast of characters is alright. Shrek has a typical character arc about learning to be more accepting of others and not be so isolated from the rest of the world. Donkey acts more as support for Shrek and comic relief rather than his own character, and he can be a little annoying at times. Princess Fiona starts out as a brat when she's rescued, as she can't seem to accept the fact that Shrek isn't her Prince Charming. But after a day passes, she magically becomes more tolerable and interesting. It's one thing to make a character likable over time, but it's another thing entirely to just have a character suddenly behave differently. As you can see, this movie does not have the strongest characters, and that's excluding the one-note villains and plot device characters. Heck, some of the characters' traits only exist to force in a message about accepting others for what they are inside. For example, when the trio is attacked by Robin Hood and his merry men in the forest, Fiona kicks the crap out of them because she knows karate. Why does she know karate? Because message. The characters in Shrek may not be very complex or well thought out, but they still have strong personalities that make up for it. We all remember these characters, not because they had great development, but because they made us laugh. And since Shrek is mainly a comedy, that really makes a difference. Shrek may not be as unique as it was when it came out in 2001, but I think it's still enjoyable today. It still looks pretty decent and has some good humor and memorable characters. What keeps it from being great is that all of the characters are pretty weak, there are some annoying gags, and how despite the fact that it tries to be as unique as possible from other animated films, it still utilizes tired film tropes like a predictable misunderstanding between Shrek and Fiona that feels like it just lasts forever. But despite its problems, if you know what you're getting into, Shrek is a pretty good movie. So you're probably looking at the length of this video and wondering why it's almost over when I still have 3 more films left to cover. Well, while making this video, I've decided to give each of these movies its own video. I know that I promised that I would review all of them in one, but I've been extremely busy lately, and this video would take months if I released it all at once. If you're disappointed, don't be. I'll try to release one of these videos each week until I'm finished. But until then, I'm Nintendo, and thank you for watching.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Go for the moon.